So I just mentioned that 10 acres was the smallest parcel of land. So that 10 acres is also can be identified as the northeast quadrant, but it's of the northeast quadrant, right? So this 10 acres, Paula, where I live, is the northeast quadrant of the northeast quadrant of the northeast quadrant of section 23 of 2 ranges east, 3 tiers north of principal meridian number 2. There is no way in the world, if I gave that address to Paula, she would end up in Indianapolis, because it's only this one address for every piece of property. Remember I told you that property was unique, that gave its value? I just proved it to you. Because if she ended up at the southeast quadrant of the northeast quadrant of the northeast, that's 10 other acres somewhere else. So there's only one legal description for every piece of property in the entire United States. You cannot mess it up. That's why title companies sell based on legal address. We still use, oh, okay, I want to sell 12 Smith Street. And the title company converts that for us to a legal description, and that's what gets sold. That way you never sell 432 South Emerson in Indianapolis to a guy who's trying to buy this building, because that legal address is nowhere even close to this legal address. So what we're going to do for fun is tell me, and you at home may have a little bit of trouble with this, and I think there's a video I did for the online people that'll capture the same thing. What is that particular address? Bingo. See, the light came on, you got it. It's the southeast quadrant, right? It's the southeast quadrant of the northwest quadrant of the northwest quadrant. And then all the blah, 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 blah is the same. Everybody see that? Got it? I look at her and she's like, it's my favorite line in Young Frankenstein when he goes, "Hey, handsome," and the monster goes, "Let me out of here." Well, then you guys are so good. I will accept one of 2 answers for this. I've now colored in 2 sections for those of you at home. So there are 2 ways to write this. I don't know, I'm not listening to you. I'm sorry. Say it again. Hold on, John.
It could be either the south quadrant, or you could say southwest, southeast quadrant of the southeast of the southeast.
You got the concept. I don't like your terminology, but and what'd you say, John?
The south half of the southeast quadrant of the southeast quadrant.
Right. And virtually, there's 2 ways. It's the southwest quadrant and the southeast quadrant, right? Of the southeast quadrant of the southeast quadrant. But the southwest quadrant and the southeast quadrant added together gives you the south half. So it's, you could say the southwest quarter and, which means plus, the southeast quarter, right? Or you could say, what's a quarter plus a quarter? Or the south half. Either one of those are acceptable, and you will see either one of them on a legal description. Now, the good thing about and in a mathematical way is that and literally can go anywhere. You don't see it written this way, except maybe on a future exercise in knowledge. You could see it, the southwest quadrant of the southeast quadrant of the southeast quadrant of section 23, 2 ranges west, 3 tiers north of principle number 2, and the southeast quadrant of the southeast quadrant of the southeast quadrant of section 23, 2 ranges east, 3 tiers north of principle number 2. That and can go anywhere. But because most of that is all the same, they usually move the plus to where it's different. So you'll typically see it the southwest quadrant and the southeast quadrant of the southeast quadrant of the southeast quadrant of section 23, 2 ranges east, 3 tiers south of principle number 2, because all that's similar, so they put it all together. Right? So what I want to do on the board is I'm going to go back and write this legal address. The original first 10 acres we had was the northeast quadrant of the northeast quadrant of the northeast quadrant of section 23 of 2 ranges east, 3 tiers south of principal meridian number 2. That's my legal description for that 10 acres. Now that all works out very well if I give you the picture and you give me the address. But that's not how the real world works, is it? They give you the address and you got to find the picture, including the test. So let me ask you a question, and just for a second, I want to block the board. I don't want you to use this system. I want you to use your normal methodology, and no GPS, no cheaters. If I handed you a box and said, I need to go to 12 Smith Street in Phoenix, Arizona, United States, and handed you a map, what would be the first thing you look for in that map? Not using this information. You'd look for what? Not using this information. Go back to your 20 minutes ago before you knew any of this. Okay? There you go. That's the first. Most international students get it right. Most USA people forget that. The first thing you would look for is United States. Then you'd look for what on the map? Oh, there's Arizona. Then you'd look for Phoenix. Then you'd look for 12 Smith Street. So really, you guys do it so fast that you don't even know that you're reading the address backwards. You're starting from the large and working small. Watch this. United States, Arizona, Phoenix, 12 Smith Street. So you would do exactly the same thing. That address says principal meridian number 2, so I get the map, but there's number 2. I want 3 ranges east, 2 tiers south. Boom, I found it. Section 23 is that one. Then I want the northeast quadrant of the northeast quadrant of the northeast quadrant. It's that one. We read legal descriptions the same direction that we read street descriptions. That's how you find out where it's really at. You just read it backwards. You start from the big and work down. That's a hint for you. Hint, hint, hint. You may need to know that. Start at the end, work forward. All right? Now we got a couple of minutes to kill before this audio's up, so let's do some math real quick. I want to show you a math trick. How many acres are in our original address? There were 10, right? Okay. When you guys look at a fraction, do you know which one the denominator is? I'm the denominator. It's the bottom one, right? So in 1/4, the denominator is 4. In that 10-acre address, 4 times 4 times 4, there's 3 4s, right? It's the northeast quadrant, that's a 4. Of the northeast quadrant, that's a 4. Of the northeast quadrant, that's a 4. What's 4 times 4 times 4? 64. How many acres in a section? How many acres in a section? 640. How many times does 64 go into 640? Duh. Ta-da. It's 10 acres. So if there's a question on the test that asks you how many acres, you literally could draw the map and do the northeast quadrant, then color it in and all that. Or you could use this denominator trick and take the 4 times 4 times 4 divided by 640 is 10 acres. So let's do the one that down here at the bottom where we put the 2 acres together. Remember, it was the south half of the southeast quadrant of the southeast quadrant. What are the denominators? 2 times 4 times 4 is 32. How many times does 32 go into 640? 20 times. How many acres did we say there were down there? There are 10 acres in that quarter, plus 10 acres in that quarter. That's 20 acres. It works. So you can save yourself a little bit of time instead of drawing it all out, that you can literally do the denominator divided into the number of acres it'll tell you. Now, if you do this, watch out for the and. What does and mean in math? Plus. So watch out for farmers that may own this, where it crosses over into a different quadrant, because they own this and that. So you may have to figure one and the other and add them together. Time stands still when we're having fun. The questions are all multiple guess. I told somebody once, they go, "Can you give me the answer?" Yeah, I gave you the answer. It's there. Just point to it. The answer is there. Any questions about this? So if I'm in section 6 and I walk north, where am I going to be? Far enough to get the point of this question.
You would be in a different range.
If I go section 6 and I walk north, I'm going to walk into section 31 of a township just north of us, right? All right, let me give you a good example of real life. You guys said you were mostly Southsiders. If you're not a Southsider at home, you have the same example. You guys know where the McDonald's is over by the mall? The Greenwood Park Mall. There's a McDonald's on the corner. The address of that McDonald's is 9000 South Madison. Across the street at that Speedway gas station, which sits catty corner, someone the other day said kitty corner. You guys ever heard that? I smacked them. It's catty corner. That address is 982 North Madison. How is that Speedway, which is further south than the McDonald's, now a north address when the McDonald's is a south address? We changed points of reference. Wouldn't it have been great if we'd known that? Well, they did. They named the road what? County Line Road. They're pretty subtle and sneaky on how they do that. That McDonald's is sitting in Marion County. It is the furthest south you can get, 9,000 South Madison. When you cross County Line Road into Johnson County, that speedway is the furthest north that Greenwood has right there. Same concept here. I'm in section 6 of 3 tiers south. If I walk north, I'm going to walk into the bottom, which is section 31, but now I'm only 2 tiers south. And we can play this game forever. If I'm in section 1 and I walk east, I'm going to walk into section 6, but I'm now another range over. Cool? It's really not that hard. People tend to make it harder than they think. And once you see it, it becomes very obvious. Oh yeah, just start with the small southeast corner or the southeast corner or the southeast corner. Move your way out. Any questions on this part right now? All right, let's do something here.